Hi, Netlord80 here. I see a lot of people talking about creationism and saying how it's impossible, science disproves it, this, that, and the other. There are some problems with that. Even within science, it's not entirely set in stone. A couple of points that I'm really surprised have not been mentioned up to this point. One is the theory that involves Schrodinger's cat. If you're not familiar with this, it basically says that if you put a cat in a box with poison, the cat will be both alive and dead until you open the box and observe it. Taken to its extension, the state of anything in the universe is determined by the observer. If you follow that to its logical conclusion, we could not exist if there was no outside observer. There would be, without an observer to set the state of us, protoplasm. Even if you believe in evolution, the first life, there would have to be an observer in order for that to happen. So I'm really surprised nobody has mentioned that before. I don't know if it's just that people aren't doing the research or don't enjoy physics as I do. I'm definitely open to a good debate, and I know somebody's probably going to try to rip me a new one for this one. Another point that I wanted to bring up is there seems to be a lot of misconception on both sides about the Big Bang theory. There are people out there that say the Big Bang, everything came from nothing, which is not really held in scientific circles. At this point, the predominant theory is called M theory. It's an extension of superstring theory, which basically states that our universe exists in what they refer to as a multiverse, which is where the M came from. They all exist on different dimensions, and the current thinking is that our universe, and with the Big Bang, was created when two other universes collided in the multiverse, which resulted in a very violent reaction. One of the things that makes it very interesting is that scientists today believe that they could create a universe in a very similar manner to the ways that ours was created. Now, if they believe they can create a universe, why is it impossible from a scientific standpoint for there to be a God or an intelligent designer? For all we know, our relationship to this other universe, depending on how time passes and everything else, could be very analogous to God. We could possibly be God to this other universe, according to what scientists are currently believing. Now, if this is true, one of the things that also is worth pointing out is that the laws of physics would not necessarily be the same in different universes. So our concept of time may not exist in some other universe, which could be where God actually resides. That could be heaven. I don't believe in evolution just because I think it's just fairly moronic, in my opinion. It's very weakly based. There's not a whole lot of tangible evidence that proves it. And one of the things that really ticks me off about people that refer to evolution as a fact. It is not a fact. It is a theory. It is not proven. Without that missing link, or actually several missing links, you can't prove your theory. Therefore, it is not a fact. And it really bugs me when people put it out as their view is the only possible correct view. I say I'm very willing to admit I may be wrong. It's very possible and probably even likely in a lot of cases. But I'm at least open to hearing the other side, and I just don't like it when the other side is misrepresented, which is commonly the case with evolution or anything that has anything to do with religion. simple fact of the matter is we know less. There's more that we don't know than we do know. One of the other things that is interesting to point out is scientists are very quick to say their view is the only possible correct view. If you don't hold with a specific viewpoint, you're wrong, you're an idiot, you're shunned, whatever. M theory is actually, going back to that, is a very good example. There was one physicist that initially, I believe it's 13 dimensions that they believe there are right now. That was actually proposed back in, I believe it was the mid-90s. I'd have to look it up, and I'm just too lazy to do it right now. This was put forth back in the mid-90s. This particular scientist was shunned by the scientific community, even though at that point there was no consensus. He believed there were 13 dimensions. Everybody else was saying there's 9, there's 11, things like that. They couldn't mathematics. They didn't believe it, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, this solves so many. 13 dimensions. It solves so many problems. So it's one of those things that, yeah, evolution. Evolution is the scientific theory that is in style right now. That doesn't mean it's going to be in style in 10 years. They could come up with another idea and then think that everybody that believed in evolution was a bunch of idiots. Yet, anybody that believes in creationism is branded a moron, a religious freak. I think I gave a couple pretty good examples. Now, I'm not an idiot. Obviously, if I was an idiot, I wouldn't know anything about M theory. I wouldn't know about the dimensions. I wouldn't know the history of it. So I'm not an idiot, and I'm also not closed-minded enough that I'm not willing for an open debate. If you have something to say about it that's relevant, I have no problem listening to it and giving your point of view, the weight it deserves. I'll look at it, analyze it. Hey, if I've got counterpoints to make, I'll make them. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. No big deal. I've been wrong before. I think all of us I'm actually sure all of us have. I think it's really enough to really say on that point for the moment. Just wait to see if there are any responses and go from there.